Thank you, Wally. I appreciate that introduction. It's an honor and a pleasure, really, to be with you here all today as we are here for not to talk about me, but to really remember and tribute those who have been the nation's finest and bravest. And I'll remind you that America will continue to be the home of the free as long as it's first the land of the brave. And you know, as the unofficial beginning of summer, let us never lose focus that Memorial Day really has a bigger meaning than beaches and picnics, auto races, or even, as historically has been my case, to take the day and get a lot of stuff done because no one was on the phone. It's a day to remember, and that's why we're here. We're really humbled by the tremendous courage shown by our brave sailors, soldiers, airmen, Marines, and Coast Guard throughout history. You know, Jesus said that there is no greater love than a man laying down his life for his friends. And the men and women that we honor and remember today have proven that they're not just friends of those of us who are Americans, but friends to men and women in countries all around the world. They were liberators, not conquerors, giving freedom to the oppressed because it was the right thing to do. Today we remember and honor the American soldiers, just ordinary men and women who died while in military service. And in mere words, as one who didn't serve in the armed forces myself, I'm going to try to remember and honor those who gave their last full measure of devotion for a cause bigger than themselves. Remembering our fallen once a year isn't enough. The widows, widowers, fathers, mothers, brothers, sisters, and children remember every single day. The empty seat at the dinner table, the smaller gathering on Thanksgiving, the voice of a loved one heard only as a distant memory in one's mind, or the constant reminders that they're gone. President John F. Kennedy said, "A nation reveals itself not only by the men it produces, but also by the men it honors, the men it remembers." General George Patton once said during a Memorial Day service, "In my mind, we came here to thank God that men like these lived, rather than to regret that they died." And speaking personally for a moment, I've always been inspired by the courage and bravery of these heroes that gave their very lives for a cause they believed in. We need to be today resolute that those should not have died in vain. I realize it's not Veterans Day, but every Veterans Day for the last 15 years or so, I make 3 or 4 phone calls. I call a World War II veteran who's a neighbor. I call a Vietnam veteran who's a close friend. I call a Desert Storm veteran who's my brother-in-law. Haven't picked out a Korean War veteran yet, or a Afghanistan or Iraqi veteran. But every time I thank them for their service. And I'm always reminded that these brave individuals, those who served, are really the only windows that people like me who didn't serve have into the terror of war and the bravery and sacrifice of those who've given all. So I would ask to those who've served, why did you do it? What impelled you to put aside the instinct for self-preservation and risk your lives? And I think as those of us who haven't served look at you, we see the answer. It was faith and belief. It was loyalty and love. You all knew that some things are worth dying for. It was a deep knowledge, and I pray to God that we don't lose that there is a profound moral difference between the use of force for liberation and the use of force for conquest. All of you loved liberty. You were all willing to fight tyranny. So I say to all of you who've served, please keep telling us your stories and keep reminding us of the valor and selflessness of those who are no longer with us. Ladies and gentlemen, I would argue that the sacrifice made by countless American heroes has indeed changed the world. Some would say that war is never the answer. That really, in my estimation, is not a valid premise or a correct statement. It's simply naive and it's simplistic, that war doesn't solve anything. I suppose that is true unless you count winning America's independence, the preservation of the Union, the elimination of slavery, the toppling of fascist, imperialistic, and terrorist regimes. And I'm grateful beyond words that when truly evil people exist in the form of dictators, tyrants, and leaders who hate personal liberty, there will always be good men and women who will rise up and say, enough. And then they'll answer the call to go and do something about it. If we really care about peace, we need to stay strong. We must, through our strength, demonstrate an unwillingness to accept the ending of the peace. We must be strong enough to create peace where it does not exist and strong enough to protect it where it does. That's the lesson, I think, of this day. Americans must remember that freedom isn't free. In fact, it's only possible because of our fallen heroes that have paid its high price. And on this solemn day, we need to recommit ourselves to standing up for our veterans. They never stopped fighting for us, sacrificing for us, and so many gave their last dying breath for us. Now it's up to us to honor those still with us and the survivors of those who've passed by fulfilling the promises that we've made to our protectors, our military veterans. We need to keep our promises to the men and women, all of them, who have served. When they swore an oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, they made a commitment to all of us. And at the same time, we as a nation incurred a sacred obligation to them upon their return home, to heal their wounds, to rebuild their lives, and to care for their survivors. These dead, and you, are the reason that we can go to work on our farms, in our offices and factories every day. We can travel anywhere we'd like in freedom. We can dream big. We can be entrepreneurs, innovators. We can generally take charge of our own destiny. These are the most treasured things that we have, and they were bought by the blood, sweat, and tears of brave patriots. Strengthened by their courage, heartened by their valor, and born by their memory, let us continue to stand for the ideals for which they lived and died. And that's really all I wanted to say. The rest of this contribution is to leave this hallowed place to its peace, a peace that it's earned. Thank you, God bless you, and God bless the United States of America, and make it a great day full of memories. Thank you.